Oh, you're crazy. Car's a piece of shit. You're never gonna get that thing done. It's a piece of garbage. What are you doing with that piece of crap car? I've scrapped cars in better condition than that one. Oh, you're gonna spend too much money. Howdy boys and girls, it's been a long time since I addressed you guys about the 56 Beetle. It's been a couple months since I had some big updates on it. I made some promises and I said I was going to get it in a car show. That car show happened on Saturday, just 2 days ago. It made it there. Barely, but it made it there. I spent a lot of long nights just grinding away at metal and trying to get things covered. I didn't get to fill any of my final welds, but it was rolling. I had the tow bar on it and we got it across town, and after one mishap, one of the axle nuts actually had come off the wheel, and then all of the lug nuts followed out after that, and I don't know why that happened. It makes no sense to me, and if I didn't know better, I would have said somebody sabotaged me, but it was a lot of late nights, so there's a possibility I might have been a little tired, a little drunk, and it just didn't get finished properly, and that's probably what the case was. But it made it to the show, and I got a trophy. Now you guys are saying, you know, we're a minute in the video. Where's the car? Well, there's the oval. Nope, lying. That's the 73 Beetle, and the reason why I'm showing that to you first is to make a comparison as to what my oval looks like now.
What you did today?
Oh yeah, let me see it.
There's the oval.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
pretty-
you like that, idiot.
I
I
do.
got it. You don't. Shut up.
God damn.
Now you're gonna be oohing and ahhing, and you're gonna say, oh, you know, you messed up a classic car or some other crap. Well, no, I didn't. I actually saved a classic car. This car was broken down, it was in a mess, it was falling apart, and you saw it in many pieces. But now it's back together and it's whole. There's a lot of parts on it that are not original, and that's unfortunate, but that's just the way it's gonna be. I couldn't find all of the original parts. They were either too expensive or just not available in this general area, and to ship them just didn't make sense. The car was so beaten and destroyed anyway that I was going to build a custom, and I knew I was going to build a custom. So here it is. This is a roof chop oval, super wide fenders. It's got a slant chop on it. I did some reading and talking with lots of people about their methods as to how they do this, and I kind of combined a bunch of different people's instructions and then took my own spin on things. And as you notice, the roof is raked forward. That's a slant chop. I did the same thing following with the door pillars, and the reason why is because when you cut the piece out of the front door, the door becomes shorter. So it's either cut the door in the middle once again and add a piece to extend it, or add some style to the car and slant the B-pillar right here. The B-pillar is kind of an interesting subject because if you look at the 73 over here, and even the earlier Beetles are this way too. The earlier Beetles have thicker pillars, but the B-pillar doesn't match the door pillar. This is actually skinnier. And to me, that always looked wrong. And some of my friends that I pointed this out to at the show actually became a little frustrated by it, because now they say every time they look at a Beetle, they notice that. Well, looking at my oval, the pillars are the same width. I did that on purpose. It's not stock. It's one of those things that people don't really notice, but once I pointed it out, they see it immediately. The windows, of course, are slanted back here, the quarter windows. A lot of people screw up their chops in the back here. They don't ever seem to get this point correct. That shape usually gets lost and it becomes like a capital D shape. You know, it's symmetrical on top and bottom. Well, that's not how they are. They're flat on the bottom and they're curved on the top. So I spent a lot of attention into getting that cut that way, and as you notice, the entire window was cut out of this thing. I've got some pictures that you guys have seen already as to what that looked like when I actually cut the car all apart. The door is original 56 on top, of course hacked and whacked, but the bottom is actually a late model door with the 56 mechanism put into the, I shouldn't say that, the 56 handle, as well as the receiver for it was grafted into there, but the mechanism in the door is actually a late model. This was so rotted out on the early car, the 56, that I also added the late model B-pillar in through here too. So it works. The door fits nice and solid. Door gaps are pretty good. I could have done a little better in here, and that frustrates me a little, but nobody noticed it when it was at the show. They were quite pleased with it. Most of the front end, the whole front clip, just about the entire front clip is actually from a later model Beetle. It was just so rotten out. You guys saw it. When I unbolted the steering column, the car broke in half, and the reason why is because the entire bottom of it was rotted out. All the places where the bolts go into it were all gone, so there was no place for me to bolt the car back together. So just about the entire front end is a late model Beetle. And the only thing that really gives it away is the rain gutter in here. On an oval, this is flat. There's the front cowl. Remember I said the later models had a rain gutter. This doesn't, it's flat. This thing was just, it's shot. The whole pinch weld along the windshield was just rotted out. So it was easier to change the whole thing than it was to try to fix this kind of stuff. I mean, it was just bad. Here's the A-pillar right in front of the passenger side door. This was all gone, and this just separated. I mean, it fell out. It wasn't even attached to anything anymore. Just gone, rusted. And I could go ahead and cut it out and weld it closed and, you know, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? It's actually useful, and there's a reason why they added that, and it stops the water from getting back up into the window pinch weld that's through here and causes this to rot out. And that's exactly what was wrong on my oval. That was all rotted out all through here, all up through here, and the roof on this side was all rotted out on the top. Somehow there was a pinhole had formed up in the rain gutter over here, and the water actually was way up in here, and the water got down on the inside. And it's interesting on the inside. You see this here? The reinforcement, that brace, is actually like a gutter, and it's not meant to be, but the water got trapped inside of it, and then it drained down through the A-pillar, which is what rotted out the bottom, which rotted out the A-pillar, which rotted out the windshield frame. That's what caused most of the damage to the front end. Whole trunk was gone. It was just so full of holes and so falling apart, I had to replace the entire panel, or in my case, just replace the whole clip. This is where your feet would normally go. This is the underside of the dashboard, and you'll see this is exactly why I replaced it. See, it's too far gone, way too far gone. You can actually buy a new section to replace that, but because all of this was gone too, there's no place for the bolts to screw into anymore. It's just all gone. Here's what's left of the heater channels. Here's what was left of the A-pillars. Just toast. Absolute toast. And the aftermarket replacement front apron that I put on there, that's not original Volkswagen anything. But it was the only one that I can find, and it was at a reasonable price, so I put it on there. You can see the sticker on it because it's actually a new part. It's not bad. It's good, but the problem is the hood gets caught on the lip, so it just doesn't want to open. I got to actually stick a screwdriver in there and pop it. But once I got a rubber seal in there, it won't be an issue anymore. Passenger side did the same thing with the doors, you know. 56 handle, late model mechanism. That actually gives me 2 locks in each door. Now, there's really no great purpose for having 2 locks in each door, but the driver's side has a key lock on the outside, and the key lock is actually part of the door handle. On the late models, the lock is part of the mechanism instead. So because I've got 2 pieces here that both lock, I can lock these independently or together. And I would imagine that if a thief really wanted to get into this car, he'd be having a hell of a time getting that door open, because he wouldn't understand what to do. Even from the inside, he wouldn't understand what to do unless I made it really clear. We've got some Porsche phone dial wheels on here. You probably noticed we're missing a lug bolt in each one of them, and that's because the wheel that came off that destroyed all the lug bolts, I had to steal 1 out of each wheel, which gave me 4 to put that wheel back together, and of course that means a remainder of 4 on the rest of the car. But anyway, after the car broke down and the wheel came off of it, when I was on the way to the show, I was so frustrated. I drove back home with the ducks. I dropped the ducks off in the house, and I unloaded all of the props for this car. I had a fire extinguisher and a first aid kit and the headlights and the seats and a whole bunch of extra stuff to make the car look more complete to put it in the show. And when I went back to get the car fixed, which I had to leave it a few miles from home, I was concerned somebody was going to take it, but I'm kind of glad it didn't have a wheel on it, because you can't really take it without a wheel. But anyway, I loaded the car up with tools. I had the Z with me, of course. It became my tow truck. And I got out there. I got a new set of not lug bolts. I got a new wheel nut. I brought the tools for that to reattach it and get everything put back together. I got everything snugged down and torqued properly. And then I went and took the other side apart just to make sure that it was all right. And it didn't have any problems. Now, I don't understand why that is. I worked on both of them at the same time, but nonetheless, 2.5 hours roadside. It was a frustrating event, but I made it. I survived. The car got to the show. But like I said, the car was incomplete, so I only got second place. Yeah, this many. This is second place. Still, it's the first trophy that I've ever gotten for one of the cars that I've actually built. There's my girlfriend's fat booty. Yes, you're looking at some super wide fenders on here. Not one person at the show complained about this car being unoriginal. There was one guy that was an absolute purist, and he even said that he liked this car, mainly because it was just in such bad shape. There was really no alternative other than to just, rebuild it with whatever was available. On the inside, there's the stock steering wheel and steering column from the Oval. Of course, the stock dashboard is in there. I put that all back together in the front clip. The front windshield is an interesting topic because this part of the roof here is donor. This is oval, and I wish I never put this strip in here, but we'll get back to that in a minute. This is a donor piece, and this is, of course, the oval. This is donor. This is oval. This is oval. This is oval. This is a donor. This is donor. And somewhere here in the middle was original oval part. The rear package area, if you look real closely in there, you'll see the cut that I made through here when I chopped it, and you'll see another cut down here lower in the bottom. That was because the package tray was rotted, so this was a donor part, but this is original. The oval and louvers, there was some rust holes through here. In fact, there's one here that I missed it somehow when I was doing some grinding and actually collapsed, so there's one rust hole here that I need to fix. But overall, the outside skin wasn't too bad. The inside skin did have a lot of things that needed repairs. In addition, the louvers that are up under here, you might notice those are late model. If you've ever even really noticed that they're there, most people that I talk to about Beetles and such, they don't understand that there's another set of louvers underneath the outside louvers. But those are from a late model. You see them under there. The oval ones were very different. They were completely rotted out, so I had to fix it. I didn't get a motor into it in time for the show, so I made a little joke motor here. I had one that had a hole in the case, and what had happened is one of the rod journals had actually just gently tapped a hole through the case, and it was a tiny little hole. And the guy that used to own the case took it to a welder, and the welder blew a bigger hole into it and gave it back to him that way. When it started out, it was about the whole size of a dime. Now it's the size of a lemon. So anyway, I pushed the rod through it, pulled the piston through it, made a little joke there, painted the engine case all up nice. So for whatever it's worth, I got a couple extra points at the car show for it. Of course, there's my H apron. This was remanufactured by me. Some of the dimensions of it are completely wrong, but it looks correct. I just got some Cleco pins in there, hold the deck lid on. And they call that a Pope's nose, but it's really not the Pope nose. It's a license plate light. That is correct for a 56 model year. The car overall is, it's beyond my expectations. I wanted to have more done on it, but it turned out a lot better than I ever expected it to. Just a lot better than I ever expected it to. I'm quite happy with it. I was going for making this car look angry, and I think I've succeeded. It's just, you see, this looks happy and cheery. Typical Volkswagen happy cheery, and this is Eleanor, and that's what I named her. If you remember one of the last videos that I had, well, maybe a few videos ago, I discussed choking on a burrito one morning. Oh, you gotta excuse me, I choked on a burrito this morning. Not more than about 10 minutes ago. Breakfast burritos. Well, that actually led to a breakup that same day from my ex at the time. We weren't together very long, and she was jealous of this car. So this car is actually the other woman. And in Miami slang, some of you folks in Miami may be able to confirm that, but Eleanor is the name for the other woman. So if one of your friends say, hey, how's Eleanor? They're asking about your side chick. So this is my side chick. People like to say Skeeter is my wife. This is my side chick. Now I just need a girlfriend. I'm so happy to have been single and handle this project on my own. I would have been this far along about a year ago, but so many things came up in my life between switching jobs and, well, not really switching jobs. I still have my business and my job, but I've expanded into different areas and been asked to do other things for other companies, and I've just wound up so tremendously busy. But overall, I'm so happy with this car. Really, I'm so happy. I bought a Lincoln welder. It's a shame I didn't get it a little sooner. About 95% of the welding on this car was done with a cheap Harbor Freight, and a lot of people say you can't, make that thing do all that work. So if you saw one of my past videos, the Harbor Freight welder was kind of falling apart. I kept fixing it, just kept servicing it, and I was getting tired of that. I found a really good Lincoln 140 on Craigslist recently, and it works great. The only thing that was really wrong with it is one of the knobs busted, but you can still turn the shaft by just pressing your finger on it. I can replace it, of course, take it apart and get it fixed, but why? It works fine. There's my trophy, of course. This is the first time, actually, that it's come into contact with Eleanor. I still can't believe that. I got a trophy. Anyway, had I have had all the props to it, I bet you I would have got first place. I would have had all the display set up and everything for it. I had still have it, the box full of all the scrap metal that got cut off of this car. Anything that I didn't use is in this box. This box weighs about 40 or 50 pounds, so there's a considerable weight savings. This is that rain gutter that I was showing you that's on the roof over here, this area. This is the one from the good side. The good side of the car wasn't in as bad a shape, but you can see where the welds here have cracked due to rust. This was all rusty up through here, really bad on the inside. It was just falling apart. The other end of it wasn't too bad, but if you're going to replace it, just replace the whole damn thing. Here's the A-pillar. This is the A-pillar on what was, I believe, the driver's side. It used to go right here, and that was that big rusty hole that was at the top. So you can see where this piece of the oval met this part of the A-pillar. Now this A-pillar I made. This is actually, I believe, from a '69 Beetle. And if you look closely, you can see the two welds, because I actually welded in about a half-inch piece through here, which widened out the pillar to be the correct width. You notice it's the same width as the oval. The goal was to make it look like it was original, despite not being original. And I gotta admit, it fooled a lot of people at the show. And I mean, a lot of people were very, very educated as to, what should be on an oval and what an oval looks like, but they didn't notice some of these things. This car was just entirely too radical, just too radical. And there were some roof chops that were at the show as well, other ones, and I mean, they were cool. They looked good. Somebody put a lot of work into them, did great work, but their geometry was completely different than mine. Mine was the one that had a crowd around it all day. And honestly, like I said, I was so concerned that people were going to hate this car. Just so concerned, but it turned out great. It really turned out great. A little more welding, a bit more grinding, a little filler here and there. Most things are pretty flat. I think I did a pretty good job. There's a little warpage through here, so I have to pull a dent out of that a little bit. Not too bad. Gonna have to do a little work on that dashboard yet, and I'll pop the trunk for you in just a second. Let me go ahead and pause the camera. Yep, in the trunk here, you probably noticed the oval firewall in the front here in the spare tire area. That's probably one of the things that if you have a good eye and you know what you're looking for, you'll notice right away that that's not correct for an oval. It has the correct parts in there, but some of the geometry isn't correct at all. That is the correct gas tank for an oval. Ovals do not have spring hoods. Ovals actually had a prop job. I'm going to put the prop back in this. It will strictly be just vestigial, like your appendix, your tonsils. It'll just be a part that dangles there that'll look correct, but it's not actually going to be correct at all. That is it as far as what's up under the trunk. Nobody actually popped the cap to find out what was inside of there, but you can't really tell. Maybe you can. Yeah, you can see the ground. The entire bottom of the gas tank is actually rotted out. But you had to open the cap to notice, and I've never seen a judge at a show do that before. So that's the correct tank, but I'm going to have to rebuild it. Yes, it's also on air. At least the front is anyway. There's the valve to it. I hooked that up temporarily just to make sure that the car would get nice and low when I got to the show. It was just easy to just piss the air out of it. And then when I left, just put the air back into it. I'd say about 30% aired up right now. As usually it'll get so low that the front apron just about touches the ground. I've currently got an adjustable beam on there with the adjusters removed, so it spins freely. It rests on the air shocks temporarily instead. I don't plan on leaving it that way. I do plan on building my own electric beam. It's not going to be hydraulic, it's not going to be air, it's going to be actually electric adjustable. More on that in the future, but you'll get to see what that's about. Yes, it does lower by air, and it'll drop down a couple more inches and just about lay that apron on the ground. It gets really close to the ground. I probably couldn't get my hand under it. The bottom of the beam where the adjuster actually sticks down will touch the concrete. And it will actually rest on the ground. That's too low, but it sure looked good at the show. Alright, so here it is. I've got to do a couple things to it, like put taillights on. Finish welding in back in the rear there where the clecos are. I got to finish that up. Up underneath the deck lid here on the inside where the clecos are, there's more clecos in the back that holds in the second set of louvers that's underneath these. Need to finish welding that. This is a very, very long video. Very, very long. I haven't had a video quite this long in a very long time. All brand new pans, of course. You guys watched me build that in an earlier video. So it's all fresh. You can see the shiny paint. A little dirty right now, but it's very, very shiny. Squeaky, squeaky. Gonna have to lube that up. Oh yes, this strip that I put through here. This, technically, if I didn't have all the rod in it, would have been a one roof chop job. This, I wish I never added it. And the reason why is the roof became too long. When I slanted it the way I did, the geometry of the slanting actually caused the roof to get longer because it became pivoted. And what happened is the deck lid in the back dropped down. The deck lid's actually further down the rear apron than it's supposed to be. And that may prove to be a problem when I finally put the latch on there. So I'm going to have to play with that and see what I can come up with. But yeah, the deck lid is too long. And when I put it all back together, I had to make some adjustments and cuts up in through here to adjust how that fit. The whole engine compartment's actually a couple inches shorter than it used to be on top. So hopefully the air shroud on the engine will clear the hinges. If not, I'll have to put in some custom hinge mounts. Some people said, go ahead and just cut your air shroud. And I said, well, that's a pain in the ass. What if I want to change out the air shroud someday? And I'll just, make custom hinge mounts if I need to. So we'll play with that. But I think I've got just about everything to finish this car, except for maybe a headliner. These wheels won't be staying on here, mainly because they're not wide enough, and I don't like the offset on them. They're currently probably, I don't know, about 2-3 inches too narrow in the back, and I'd say about an inch too narrow in the front. So I'll be widening that up a little bit. And there it is. Angry, angry Eleanor. Haha. And the 73. So anyway, if you're interested in the 73 Beetle, there it is. Has no rust. Eleanor's not for sale. Well, unless you had some really stupid amount of money you'd wish to give me, but I'm probably still going to tell you no. Well, anyway, thanks you guys for bearing with me. I'm going to have some more sporadic updates on this. I'm not in a hurry right now, so I could probably do some more recording periodically and get things taken care of on a little more of a regular schedule instead of trying to hurry through it. I was pushing myself and hurrying so much that I really didn't have a lot of time to run the camera. I did take some occasional photos, and this video did have some of them in it, some of the progress photos along the way. But it's just amazing that that is the car. We're waving in the room. When he answers again. You for a second.